this. The sun coming out. It's well, and right now in my mind, I've got Simon and Garfunkel doing My Little Town. The sun, I just love it. See how it's getting wider here? This is obviously not a studio, dude. This is a basement little spot here that I'm doing this from. Okay, Fed government, we're still on it. Cleaning house, we're still on it. Environmental reclamation, Part 5, $376 billion or million, 193,750, 10% of that 20% budget right there, going directly there too. Administration, of course, good old 1%, 3,765,937.50. Now watch this. Another administration, another 3,765,937. Where is all this going? This is going to a place called the ECOVILLAGE Training Center. Now, hopefully, Mr. Albert Bates, Mr. Stephen Gaskin, and his wife, Ina Mae Gaskin, will accept this challenge. Here's the challenge. We are going to reclaim the environment. Now, I want you to go to thefarm.org. Go to farm.org or thefarm.org. Look for Stephen Gaskin. Look for Ina Mae Gaskin, America's #1 midwife. And look for the EcoVillage Training Center as well as the Global EcoVillage Network. Very important, because as each nation does this, we do this at a global level through GEN. It's the acronym for it, GEN. And just watch how this pans out. We're going to reclaim the environment. And if we do this, once again, nation by nation by nation by nation, this is one thing God applauds you for. You're actually showing that you can make some effort. Then we'll clean up the earth real fast like. Check it out. Okay, this administration number here is specifically so they can spend 1 year with some protocols in between, which we'll get to later on, to create a national solar network, a whole American solar-powered network. In other words, a network so big that it can supply all of America's needs. And I know we can do that in lands that we don't necessarily use appropriately right now. And I want to tell you this. The farm is a real place. My dad turned me on to it. Old hippies living down in Tennessee. Stephen Gaskin was a Marine. He was a Marine. He is an author. They busted him. He's a pothead because they busted him, so he's formally a criminal. Him and his band of hippies, if you will, as the story goes, as I understand it, what they did is they took their money and they went down to Tennessee. First they went on tour, bought a bunch of buses, had a funeral for the hippie, and then they went on tour in the late 60s and told people how to do the environment. Then they went down to Tennessee, and I've always wanted to say this, I can see the deal. Gaskin standing there on one side and the old Tennessee guy standing on the other. They bought this 1,400-acre plot of sand. Old dude sitting there going, ha ha ha, I suckered these hippies into some sand. Gaskin, the farm et al., turned the farm into the #1 producing crop in the state of Tennessee. They're known for organizations like Plenty, the Third Eye Witness News. Maybe you've heard of Normal. So what we're going to do is use these guys to come in here, and they're going to create a national solar, national windmill, and a reverse desertification program. And then what we're going to do, and it has to go in conjunction with our future world, which you'll see in a bit. They're going to eventually run it by Congress, the Senate. They're not asking permission. They're telling you how to do it. There's no doubt that the ETC is in command, and they'll be working closely, as you'll see over the years, with the Department of Energy on this. They're the ones that are like the brains of it all, and then we'll talk about labor after that. So they're going to burn a DVD for each senator, each congressman, and all that stuff at the very end, not asking them, telling them how they're going to do this. Okay, C, Windmill Power Program. And keep in mind, this is also for D, Solar Wind Power Program. They have the identical numbers, and so I'm just crunching one, and we'll times it by 2. Child not owing. Got a PALS participant in there, labor, has children, don't owe any student loans, $24,102,000, 20% of the budget that they're getting out of the Windmill program, which is 32% of that budget. Okay, child definitely owes, and this is something I forgot to add earlier, we'll really emphasize it. Whenever they're owing child 50% of that money, that's the only reason they're making a little bit more, is so they can go back to Fannie Mae or whoever in the world they borrowed the money from for school loans. $18,076,500. That's 15%. That's what that star is there for. Reminds us that that goes to college loans. And once the loan system's paid off, we can discuss maybe applying it to home loans or car loans or something like that. But right now the key is to educate America as quick as possible and educate them well. Job Corps. These are the grads. Sec C3. $18,076,500, 15%. The first sector of it is $12.50 per hour for approved students. I know there's a lot of good jobbies out there, and I know there's a lot of good jobby teachers out there. I was in Job Corps a couple of times. My sister, one of them, my brother, two of my children, my mom even worked at Job Corps. We need to give these guys some hope, some money, put some money in their pockets. So the way we're going to start them off at is $12.50 an hour. I calculated it at 1562.5 or 1563, so I calculated this one. When I corrected it, it came out to the same number, which is 278 plus jobs per package. So eventually this will double. The next 40%, $7,230,600. By the way, it was 50% of that, $9,038,250. Next is number 2. This is for Job Corps graduates. These are students that the staff recommends, and they get to keep their money. It doesn't go back to Job Corps. That's the biggest problem with Job Corps, is it's such a scam to these guys. That's why they have such a high burnout rate. $7,230,600 will go to graduates. We'll be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, you're a jobby graduate, and we need this work done. The ETC is hiring. So they'll come out, we calculate them at $18.75 an hour. It's really $15 an hour, I calculated. So it brings in at least 185 plus jobs there. And then there's always that budget. Jobbies know how to do it, and they can do it. Most of them are single still or semi-single. And they need the jobs. We're going to transport them right to the spot, room and board and all that. There's another 10% of that budget, or $1,807,650. Now, once again, we times this by 2. Because there's actually the Windmill program, and then there's a complement. And remember that they all have to complement each other. It's one of the biggest problems, is getting everybody on the same page. So we have the Windmill, the solar, and then eventually, this is only for 4 years. This is just for the first 4 years, because these are going to merge into TESS, the Energy Self-Sufficiency Project, in year 5, which will complement our future world. We are taking baby steps. What we're doing is we're building the foundation. In the meantime, it's very important that anybody that's going through the ETC be certified. These are college credits as well. The ETC is a very unique bunch, and they really have the whole the whole global EcoVillage network has an objective, and we're helping them meet that objective, which is a mutual objective, which is cleaning up our planet. And by the way, reversing desertification, if we do it right, should work to reverse some global warming. Better than nothing, unless you got a vacuum cleaner to suck out the poisons. So we're working on it.